Good day, everyone. I am Sister Anya Borbon, a Good Shepherd sister. I am here with you today to share with you our mission as Good Shepherd sisters. To start with, I would like to quote from what Jesus said in the Bible: I am the Good Shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. I would like to invite you all to join me in this prayer and reflection.
Living Green Mission: sharing, exploring, and redefining a radical way of living with creation to sustain and preserve resources for future generations. As Pope Francis reminds us, all of us can cooperate as instruments of God for the care of creation, each according to his or her own culture, experience, involvements, and talents. In this time of the global pandemic, when humanity and Mother Earth are groaning for healing and restoration, let us connect ourselves in a spirit of great communion with the evolving universe.
We are one in the Spirit, we are one body. There is one great communion with the earth, sky, and sea. We are one in the Spirit, we are one body. There is one great communion with the earth, sky, and sea. We are one in the Spirit, we are one body. There is one great communion with the earth, sky, and sea. We are one in the Spirit, we are one body. There is one great communion with the earth, sky, and sea.
Reflection. The context of this painting is the Amazon forest. This painting by Sister Eleanor, ICM, depicts the contrasting experiences in the Amazon forest. The wounded Amazon forest is depicted as a pieta, a mother holding her suffering, agonized child. We see two bodies. One part is the agonizing, wounded, dying part, and the other is the alive, green part of the Amazon forest. The green part is full of life, trees, flowing streams, full of biodiversity. This part is the woman carrying the agonizing, wounded, dying forest on her lap. Reflection. We see the light touching both the alive and the wounded parts. The agonizing part of the body continues to touch and hold on to life. We see signs of life. There is hope, life growing in spite of these contrasting experiences. We see the small green plant growing in the midst of pain and suffering. The lines are connected, life and death, light and shadows. In all this, we see the divine light flowing, permeating into the green life and agonizing parts of the forest. As we gaze into this image, let us ask ourselves, have I listened to the groaning of creation and to my own groaning? Have I paid attention to the cry of the earth and to the cry of the poor? Am I one with the groaning of creation all over the world? Let us become painfully aware of how we have plundered the earth and destroyed the ecosystem. As agents of hope, let us dare take our responsibility as true stewards of God's creation. When we can see God reflected in all that exists, our hearts are moved to praise the Lord for all His creatures and to worship Him in union with them. This sentiment finds magnificent expression in the hymn of Saint Francis of Assisi.
I would like to ask you, when you hear the word human trafficking, what comes to your mind? What are the thoughts that are evoked in you, and what images go with it? Honestly, what raw feelings are coming up in you? When we speak of human trafficking, what do you think? Can this happen in your own environment? Is it possible that this is happening to a girl or a woman next to your door or in your neighbor? Let us see. Let us be informed. Let us watch this video.
No one really knows how many people are victims of human trafficking, bought and sold for pleasure and profit into sexual servitude or forced labor around the world. Some say 2.4 million, some say 27 million. Even one is too many. These women know they have survived it. Traffickers and pimps recruit and sell their victims across state lines and national borders and within neighborhoods women and girls have never left. Their methods of choice? Abuse, of power, of vulnerability. What we know: 82% of detected trafficking victims are women and children. Most are bought and sold in the multi-billion-dollar sex trade in every country and city around the globe. A victim cannot consent to her own exploitation. Since 1988, the Coalition Against Trafficking in Women has been one of the first organizations in the world to lead groundbreaking efforts to end the trafficking and sexual exploitation of women and girls globally. Our vision is of a world in which no human being is ever bought or sold, not for labor servitude, not for sexual exploitation. We promote survivor voices, experiences, and leadership worldwide and in halls of power. We support trafficked and exploited women and girls. We work to educate the public about human trafficking in an effort to prevent it and end it for good. And we educate men and boys about harmful masculinity. CATW raises awareness by advocating for strong laws and policies that hold traffickers, pimps, and other exploiters accountable, stop criminalizing the exploited, target the demand for prostitution, provide exit strategies and support for trafficked and exploited people, and guarantee equality between women and men. Equality means that every person everywhere has the right to live free from servitude, sexual violence, and exploitation. That includes women and girls in every corner of the world. Our future depends on it. Join us.
As religious of the Good Shepherd, we announce the message of reconciliation through a ministry of charity and evangelization, directed towards persons wounded by sins and its consequences. Our specific orientation is to girls and women whose condition in life cries out for the healing and salvation which Jesus alone can bring. As RGS sisters, we are committed to the full human and spiritual healing and to their integral development as human beings. We therefore strive to serve them in the context of their families and the society in which they live. As an international congregation, we agreed to respond to 6 priority issues, namely human trafficking, prostitution, migration, integral ecology, economic justice, and girl-child. For this particular presentation, let me focus on the 2 priority issues. They are very much interrelated and connected. These are on human trafficking and prostitution of girls and women. Since these 2 issues are considered priority issues of the congregation, our responses are guided by the agreed congregation-wide position on human trafficking and prostitution of girls and women. This diagram shows how sex trafficking and prostitution is happening. As you can notice, it is a cycle, a continuous cycle. There are sex entrepreneurs. They are the pimps who encourage, who offer the job, and on this job, bodies of women and girls are being supplied. Like any other business, since there is a high supply and high demand, the buyers of adults and even child sex is in high demand as well. Thus, there are moves to make this kind of business legal, and in fact, in some countries, prostitution is legally accepted. This slide, however, provides us with a similar cycle where we can possibly combat sex trafficking and prostitution. There is a need to promote gender equality, and so we must see men and women as equal. Therefore, put value on the dignity of women, and so the demand for prostitution by women and girls can be lessened, if not totally stopped. We need to uplift their dignity and rights as women and children, and thus in the long run, we may eradicate poverty. I know this may entail a lot of conviction and a change in a mindset sometimes, that like men, women are created into the image and likeness of God. To our organizations, or to organizations like us, whose advocacy is to stop prostitution and human trafficking, we are guided by 4 P's. These are prosecution, protection, prevention, and partnership. Our programs may be based on any of these P's, depending on the organization's capacities and strengths. In particular, what is the position of our congregation on prostitution? Prostitution of women and girls is a chronic form of gender violence, and it is incompatible with the dignity and worth of the human person. It endangers the welfare of the individual, the family, and the community. And to us, these are the root causes of prostitution: poverty, patriarchy, male privilege, to name a few. As a congregation, we seek to analyze these root causes and systemic links to the phenomena of trafficking. To us, it is very important that we express our solidarity with those women and girls who are objects of prostitution. Concretely, these are what we do in our programs for them. We seek to listen to their experiences. We develop holistic programs and we journey with them. We support them in their healing processes, provide economic opportunities, personal growth, and reconciliation with their families. We seek to be active in their process of social change. Here in the Philippines, this is how we are doing it. Let us watch this video.
Marami na ang naitawag sa kanila. Magdalena, mga babaeng mababa ang lipad, prosti. Para kay Nanay Lolit, sila ay mga kapwa niya babae na nangangailangan ng suporta at pangunawa. 57 taon na si Nanay Lolit. Dati siyang manager ng mga female bands sa mga bar. Nakasama si Nanay Lolit sa mga kababaihang nabigyan ng seminar ng Batangas City Health Office at St. Bridget Community Center upang maging peer educator sa mga kapwa niya babaeng nasa trabaho sa entertainment.
Nagkaisa ang St. Bridget noon, mga social worker, through City Health, City Hall, nga nag-recruit ng mga kababaihan para magpa-training, para mag-seminar ukol sa kung paano kami maging peer educator. Yung kailangan na mag-ano ako sa kanila, kaibiganin ko muna sila. Para mapalapit ako sa kanila, para mabuksan ang kanilang isipan at puso. Dahil minsan kasi may na-stress na yung parang may isang tao, hindi yan na magsalita. Para bang kung hindi mo talaga makuha ang kalooban nila, hindi yan magsalaysay sa kanilang maging problema. At kung kahit man ganyan ang kanilang trabaho, kailangan meron silang alam sa pagdadasal, magpapasalamat.
Mula alas 9 hanggang alas 11 ng gabi, umiikot si Nanay Lolit sa mga establisimento sa Batangas City. Sa pamamagitan nito, madali siyang malalapitan ng mga kababaihan kung may pang-aabuso o paglabag sa kanilang karapatan.
Ngayon ay nalaman, may nakapagsumbong, kita daw nga ako daw ang nagdala at nagkaon sa isang kanto. Ay alam nilang hindi naman galing sa bahay ko. Sinugod ako sa bahay. Dahil daw, ikinidnap ko daw ang kanyang mga babae. Sabi ko, paano ko kinapin nga tumawag ka sa akin mga bata naghingi ng saklolo dahil ayaw nila dyan sa trabaho. Based sa interview kasi, ang sabi ng nag-recruiter ay sila'y magtrabaho sa stop toys. Ang iba naman, kung ayaw sa stop toys, waitress sa food chain. Hindi daw sila ang ititinda. Ang may-ari po ng club na video okay bar ay isang polis. Kaya agad nagalit sa akin. Kasi naroon ako naglilinis, nagluluto ba yun, ang aking anak na babae, maliit pa. Sabi, Mama, maraming Armalite. Marami daw, ginagayon ka. Kung huwag mo itutok sa aking anak, dahil hindi ako kriminal. Kung hanapin ninyo ang mga babaeng na-recruit ninyo, masama yun, minor de edad, pulis ka pa naman. Basaan ilabas. Kung kahit i-search ninyo ang aking bahay, bago kayo pumasok dyan, pahingi mo ng papel. Kahit kilala ko kayo, kailangan ko kayong kailangan ko ang papel gagaling talaga sa ikinatasaan na i-search ninyo ang bahay ko.
Ang kwentong nasasaksihan ni Nanay Lolit ay kwento ng kababaihan sa marami pang lugar sa Pilipinas. Tinatayang mayroong 800,000 to 1 million prostituted women and children sa Pilipinas at 20% sa kanila ay 18 taong gulang pababa. Kakaunti ang oportunidad sa mga kababaihan lalo na sa mga hindi nakapagtapos o hindi nakapag-aral. Ang ibang galing sa mga malalaking pamilya ay napipilitang pasukin ito sapagkat ito ay madaling paraan na hindi na pag-aaralan, walang kailangang karanasan upang kumita at may maiambag para sa pagkain ng pamilya. Kakambal ng kahirapan ang prostitusyon para sa mga babae. Marami ang napipilitang pumasok sa ganitong trabaho para lang makakain kahit isang beses sa isang araw. Survival sex ang tawag dito. Ayon sa United Nations, ang mga babaeng hindi nakakakain ng sapat ay 70% maaaring walang personal na kontrol sa isang sexual na relasyon, 50% maaaring makipagtalik sa nakatatanda sa kanya, 70% maaaring makapagtalik ng walang proteksyon at 80% na pumasok sa survival sex kesa sa mga babaeng may sapat na kinakain at nutrisyon. Para sa RGS, ang isyu ng prostitusyon ay nakakabit sa marami pang issue ng kababaihan. Kung kaya't sa kanilang mga community center, isa lamang ito sa mga issue na kanilang tinutugunan.
Ang community center ay itinatag bilang social arm ng school. Kasi ang mga madre, yung bilang sagot doon sa Vatican II, yung tulungan ang mga mahihirap, yung mga mahihirap dito sa Batangas, nag-create sila ng mga programa at serbisyo. At lalo na din itinatag nila yung mga programa para sa mga kababaihan. Sa ngayon, ang aming mga programa, meron kami yung gabayan o yung programa para sa mga kababaihan nagtatrabaho sa mga entertainment. So, ang nito ay magbigay ng advokasya hinggil doon sa HIV, STD prevention. And aside from that, yung mga kababaihan ay binibigyan din namin ng mga spiritual, recollection, at saka mga livelihood program.
Ang amin pong natutulong ng mga kababaihan ay may around 150 na kababaihan na kung saan ang marami po sa kanila ngayon ay attend po ng alternative learning system namin, mga skills training. Doon din po sa mga meron din po kami mga balik assistance program, mga gusto na talagang magbago, tulong puhunan para kung talagang nais na nilang magbago, umalis na sa ganung mga trabaho, ay meron silang pasisimulaan.
Kagaya ng St. Bridget Community Center, ang Welcome House sa Cebu ay takbuhan din ng mga prostituted women.
Sabi niya, mga estudyante ba kayo? Yung gano'n. Sabi niya, estudyante kami, pero mahirap lang kami. Galing kami ng probinsya, yung gano'n. Sabi niya, gusto niyo bang magtrabaho sa Cebu? Sabi niya. Sabi ko, sige, lahat kami magkakaibigan na inganyo kasi ang ganda ng mga offer niya. Promises was made, no? A lot of promises. So, pagdating pa namin dito sa Cebu, 5 o'clock in the morning. So, ayun, sinundo na kami ng taxi. Pagkarating namin sa room, sabi ng isang girl sa akin, sabi niya, bakit ka sumama sa babae na yan? Sabi niya, ang batang-bata ko pa. Hindi mo ba alam kung ano yung trabaho mo dito? Sabi ko, hindi. Sabi niya, kita mo itong mga babae na to. Ito yung mga babaeng bayaran. Ano sabi nung, yung may-ari ng mga girls, magbihis na kayo kasi may magtrabaho na kayo ngayong gabi. So, ayun, in-explain talaga kung ano yung trabaho namin. So, ayun, umiyak na ako. Pwede ba, ibalik mo na lang ako sa Cagayan, sabi ko sa kanya kasi, wala talaga akong alam kung bakit ito nangyari. Sabi ko sa kanya, sabi niya, kung gusto mo umuwi sa Mindanao, bayaran mo muna yung nakain sa barko, yung pamasahe, yung ganun, sabi ko sa akin. Sabi ko, paano ko mababayaran? Wala nga akong pera. Ikaw mismo na dala sa amin dito sa Cebu.
Our center is for the victims of human trafficking and prostituted women. So we catered children and women from 9 years old up to 40 years old and even 60 years old. So our programs and services, we have these 4 major programs and services: the outreach work, the shelter care, the advocacy, and lately we ventured to livelihood program.
Everyday talaga nagtitik ako ng drugs. Pero one day, sabog ako ng drugs. Pero one day, I woke up sa room ko. I woke up tapos sabi ko, baka totoo yung sinabi ni Father Hines na may kinabukasan pa ako. Yung ganon. Sabi ko, itry ko kaya. So ayun, hay na hay ako ng drugs. Pumunta ako sa drop-in center. Sabi nung social worker, ba't nandito ka? Sabi ko, gusto kong mag-stop na sa trabaho ko. Sabi na, totoo. Sabi ko, oo. Kasi maraming beses na ako nagsasabi sa kanila, gusto kong mag-aral, pero talagang ayaw ko. Yung bang, nagsasabi lang ako, pero walang totoo ba? Kasi hindi rin ako nagka-crush sa kanila. So, ayun, sabi na, sige, matulog ka nga dito. Sabi ko, sige.
Once they decide to stay, that's the time they're under our shelter care program. So we provide all the basic needs, even for their medicines because they also need that attention. And then transportation assistance if they want to go home and undergo the psychosocial intervention, the counseling, mga ganon.
Ako, trabaho dito sa Welcome House is outreach worker. So, ako yung pumupunta sa bars, at saka nag-orient ng mga girls na kung ano yung program and services natin dito sa center. Ano yung mga pwede nilang ma-avail dito sa center. So, yun ang ginagawa ko. Tapos, I also distribute condoms. But it is because of the protection of the sickness like HIV, STI, yung ganun. Para rin na control sa pagpapanganak nila, yung ganun.
Marami sa kanila ay bumabalik pa rin sa kanilang dating trabaho. Subalit hindi mawawala ang pag-asa ng RGS na sa patuloy na pagpapaliwanag, pagbibigay ng suporta at pagbibigay ng pag-asa, makakawala na rin ang mga kababaihan sa dagok ng kahirapan at pagsasamantala. Bilang mga madre ng mabuting pastol, hangad naming maging gabay sa buhay ng mga mahihirap nating kapatid habang sumusunod kay Jesus na mabuting pastol nating lahat tungo sa isang buhay na ganap.
Masdan ng pag-usbong ng pagkakaisang mithi ay wagas at dalisay. Liwanag na dumaraig sa lahat ng kadilimang bumabalot sa kalawakan.
Specifically in the Philippines, our programs are classified into 3 categories: prevention, protection and healing, and linkages and networking. Prevention is one of the Good Shepherd responses to prostitution. Our program here is called Advocacy Program. This is done through information dissemination using advocacy materials like brochures, posters, and we are also using some videos in this program. We give advocacy sessions on the rights of women in the different schools, barangays, parishes, and dioceses, and our end goal is to create gender advocates. We are assisting some parishes and dioceses as well in creating their own women programs. These are some of the posters we are using for integral ecology, economic justice, prostitution and trafficking, and migration. Our programs are classified, as I said, into prevention, protection and healing, and linkages and networking. Let us now focus on protection and healing, and we have shelter care program. So I would like to present to you the Good Shepherd centers. We are present in Luzon, Visayan region, and Mindanao. For the National Capital Region, we are present in Quezon City and Paco, Manila. This is the Good Shepherd Reception Center in Quezon City. We have Heart of Mary Villa also in Quezon City. This is our Crisis Intervention Center in Paco, Manila. In Luzon, We are present in the different provinces of Cavite, Camarines Sur, and Albay. Bukid Kabataan Center is located in General Trias, Cavite. This is the biggest shelter for us. Blondawani can be found in Naga City. Most of our program participants here are girls and women who are survivors of sexual abuse. Shepherd Home Legazpi is led by one of our lay mission partners, and this is located in Legazpi City, Albay. In the Visayan region, our shelters are concentrated in the province of Cebu. We are located at Banawa Hills, Cebu City, and Liloan, Cebu. Our ministry coordinator here is Sister Virgo Espineda. We have Maria Dross Training Center in Banawa, St. Mary Euphrasia Training Center, also in Banawa, Good Shepherd Welcome House in Cebu City is a drop-in center. Balay sa Maayong Magbalantay is a shelter for a long-term program. And Shepherd's Heart, also in Cebu City, is a transition home for independent living. In Mindanao, we can be found in Pagadian City and Cagayan de Oro City. Our ministry coordinator in Mindanao is Sister Juliet Abrigo. This is a drop-in center for us in Cagayan de Oro City. Also in Cagayan de Oro City, we have a Good Shepherd Crisis Center. This one is Balay Paglaom sa Maayong Magbalantay in Pagadian City. The framework of intervention that we are using as the Good Shepherd Sisters includes caring, healing, teaching, and aftercare. We now focus on linkages and networking. We maximize our different networks with the congregation in the international level, regional level, and the province level. We extend our connections outside the congregation to civil society organizations as well. We also connect to local churches and other faith-based organizations like the AMRSP, Samaritana, and Kaakbay Coalition. Of course, we also network to the different government agencies like the DSWD and the DepEd. In this ministry, we encounter several challenges, and these are the following. First and foremost, we believe that this issue, human trafficking and prostitution, is a global organized crime. So it requires organized, systemic responses. Second, healing process is tedious. It takes time. Third, in our country, there is a very slow court processes. And in trafficking and prostitution, there is a low percentage of conviction. Fourth, re-trafficking or relapse is oftentimes experienced, especially if the family is not supportive. And the last, we lack funds to truly combat trafficking. And so now, based on what I shared, I would like to invite you to pause for a while and ask yourself, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings? And what are your wanderings at this time? With your thoughts, with your feelings, and with your wanderings at this time, we beg Jesus the Good Shepherd to shepherd us all.
Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life. God is my shepherd, so nothing shall I want. I rest in the meadows of faithfulness and love. I walk by the quiet waters of peace. Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into
Gently you raise me and heal my weary soul. You lead me by pathways of righteousness and truth. My spirit shall sing the music of your name. Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life.
Though I should wander the valley of death, I fear no evil, for you are at my side. Your rod and your staff, my comfort and my hope.
Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life. You have set me a banquet of love in the face of betrayal, crowning me with love beyond my heart to hold. Shepherd me, O shepherd me, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life.
Surely your kindness and mercy follow me all the days of my life. I will dwell in the house of my God